Folks, this photo isn't just any photo. This photo is from a reunion about 14 years in the making, and recently this whole thing went viral. Years ago, Jeanah was an EMT who gave $7 to a guy named Will. He was homeless, he was a heroin addict, and was digging through the trash. Their story is really remarkable, and they're here today to share it with us. Please welcome Jeanah and Will. Hi, Jeanah.
Hi.
Okay, take us back 14 years ago when you met Will.
I was working as a paramedic on the ambulance, and we were posting at our normal post in Ceres at a Chevron gas station, very popular spot. And I noticed or heard a bunch of racket happening behind the ambulance and went to investigate. And I found Will digging through the garbage, through the dumpster. So I started asking questions. What makes a man dig through the dumpster? There's always a story. There's always a human story behind those behaviors. So I wanted to investigate. And
so, Will, what was the story? What were you going through 14 years ago?
The story all began, Steve, when I lost my wife of 13 years, my soulmate. I began to self-medicate with drugs and took my job, my home, and I began to hate people, because I had nobody to cling to. My family didn't know my situation, had no friends, really didn't want any. I was a lost soul. That's when I had met Jeanah, and I could feel the love in her heart for people and how she wanted to actually help me, I stopped digging and we began to talk, and I began to realize that, hey, you know what? There are good people out there. There are people out there that are caring and loving and who want to help. We began to be friends, real friends. She gave me a pair of boots and a jacket, and I explained to her how my wallet had been stolen, and I couldn't even get staffing network jobs and stuff like that because of that. And I needed $7 because the welfare department would supply you with a voucher. And if you had $7, you could, get your ID. And I got my ID and got into a Christian discipleship, turned my life around, and here I am today. I'll tell you what, about that $7, that $7 took me from out from under a bridge and gave me a new life.
You all reunited. You reunited with Will kind of unexpectedly. Tell me how this happened. So how long had it been in?
12 to 14 years, we're guessing.
You hadn't seen between 12 and 14
yes,
years.
Okay,
so how did you reunite?
I was actually working, I'm still working very part-time on the ambulance. I was pissed off this night. I was so mad. We were held over. I should have been home. And we were posted, ironically, at a different Chevron. And I ran in to use the restroom. And when I came out, there was a man standing in front of the restroom. And he was standing there trembling with tears in his eyes. And he just said, "It's you. I know it's you. Do you remember me?" And it took me a second. He's much healthier looking now than he was when I last saw him. And he reminded me of the jacket and the boots and the $7 and shared with me the incredible success.
How surprised were you? 12, 14 years go by. What are you thinking?
I found her, and she's going to get to see the success that she gave me, and helped me to achieve, I couldn't wait for her to come out of that bathroom.
See, this is what, these are moments, man, that you really got to wrap your mind around so you understand how God really works. People sometimes they lose sight of that. You know, you get, oh, woe is me. Yeah. But man, $7 changed a dude's life. That's why it's so important when you see somebody down and out. Look, I know when you're driving down the street, you know they're going to buy drugs with the money, but everybody ain't though. You know when you pull up next to her, I don't care about you pulling up signs trying to be clever. Look, I'm just going to be honest. I want some beer. Well, I ain't got no money for you, partner. But if I see a woman out there with a kid, I got to put something out the window. I got to steal something out the window. You know, but sometimes I'll be with partners and go, man, Steve, they ain't going to do nothing with that money. That's none of my business.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
You don't know what this person's situation is. This 50, this 100, this 20 could be his 7. Yes. It could change a life. But your blessing comes from your intentionality.
Yes.
Amen.
Your intent was to help. If they buy dope with it, that's on them. Your blessing come from a whole nother source, man. Will, you got something you want to say to Jeanah?
I'm so thankful, honey, that you came back into my life.
It's a blessing for me because I've been on the ambulance for 18 years, and it is a rare, almost impossible circle to see. You know, we help people in their worst moments, on their worst days. Very rarely do we get to see the fruits of our labor.
They come around on the other side. That's
and this,
right.
he wasn't even a patient of mine. He was somebody that I met just existing, being at the right place at the right time. And just know that people don't choose to be homeless. Yeah. And oftentimes it's because of circumstances outside of their control. His wife passed away, and grief can be so overwhelming. And many people, not just Will, turn to drugs to medicate and be understanding. There's room in your heart. Be understanding and be willing to listen to the story, because it will change the callousness. Yeah. It will, every time.
Well, you were just that. Great story. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Jeanah. Thank y'all so much. Great story.
God bless you.
Hey, you made it to the end of this video. I got a lot more that you're going to enjoy, so just click to watch the next one. And make sure you subscribe to always know what's happening.